Namaste and pranam to all of you, and we are again here at KSAS lecture series. And in this KSAS talk lecture series, we invite the esteemed, scholars from all disciplines like humanities, social science, philosophy, and so forth. Today we have one of the esteemed speaker, Professor Lallan Prasad ji. He is distinguished academician born in Varanasi in 1939, educated in Banaras and Chandigarh. He is also the gold medalist from BHU. His PhD was adjunct of outstanding merit of Punjab University. He focused on the university departments, business management at the Punjab University Patiala and Guwahati University Assam, and business economics at the University of Delhi, where he also served as the head and the dean. His career includes the role as a professor in Moscow State University, director APJ Institute of Technology and Management, and vice chancellor Jaipuria University. He directed a World Bank project on the Yamuna wetland, authored over a dozen of books and hundreds of papers, and chaired the session of national and international conferences. And he is also associated with the Mahamana Malvi Mission and the Webs India. He is also an acclaimed Hindi poet and the writer of who has received the several awards. Today, we will speak on strengthening local governments to transform the rural economics for tomorrow's society. So, through this introduction, I would like to invite, and it's over to you, sir, please.
Okay. Gosh. Thank you, Dr. Alok. It's a pleasure to speak on strengthening local governance to transform rural economy. It's building tomorrow's society through empowered rural communities and sustainable development. India still lives in two villages. India still lives in two villages. Sumitra Anand Pant has said, Bharat Mata Gram Vasni. And that's the reality even now. 65% of the population of India lives in villages. But the contribution of rural economy to the GDP of the country is only 16%. In fact, over the years, it has come down from 20% and so on, mainly because industry has been growing faster than agriculture, and that's a phenomena which happens throughout the world. But this disparity highlights both the challenges and the opportunity facing India's rural economy. And strengthening local governance is therefore essential to unlock the rural potential and create inclusive growth. Now, for rural governments, Government of India enacted in 1992 a three-tier democratic system designed to bring governance closer to the people. Now, the three-tier consists of, at the bottom, the Gram Panchayat, which is elected by all the adult members of the village. Then 6,000 intermediate level block committees, and then about 600 district levels. So 2.5 lakh village level Gram Panchayats are the base of administration of villages and the rural economy. At the foundation lies the Gram Sabha, consisting of all adult voters who elect representatives every 5 years. The system ensures inclusive participation with 1/3 seats reserved for women and proportional representation for scheduled castes and communities. Now let's see what are the powers and responsibilities of the panchayat. Developing economy of the village, agriculture, small industries, animal husbandry, social forestry, mandi operations, and so on. Basic services, drinking water supply, health and sanitation, rural electrification, and road infrastructure. Social welfare activities like primary education, public distribution system, and poverty elevation. Panchayats are empowered to administer 29 subjects critical to rural development. They are supported by state-appointed Sachivas and Gram Sevaks. Funding of the panchayats comes primarily from central and state government grants through various schemes supplemented by local taxes and fees, etc. From time to time, government has been initiating schemes for rural development and rural economy, civic administration in villages, housing, and other things. The major schemes at present are given here. Prime Minister Gramin Awas Yojana, rural housing for all. And the important thing to note here is that this is for all. This is for STs, women, and then for all communities, whether Hindus, Muslims, there is no discrimination in this. All facilities which government is giving is for all residents of the rural areas of the country, irrespective of their caste, creed, or religion, or anything of that type. Then Prime Minister Gramin Sadak Yojana, all weather roads are getting connected, getting villages connected to the cities. Though the work is not yet complete, there are still a number of villages which are not yet linked with Pakka roads with the cities. But in last 10 years or so, work has been going on at a very fast speed. National Rural Drinking Water Program, the objective is to provide safe water access to the village people. And this is almost complete, as the government claims. Most of the villages, they have been able to provide drinking water. Then Swachh Bharat Mission has been one of the very important schemes that government has initiated. You know, earlier in villages there were no shauchalayas, and people had to go for this into fields. Women face, difficulties, and there were a lot of social problems also because of this. But this scheme has provided these facilities in almost all villages in the country. So at a very large scale, this has been taken. Then Rural Development Mission, a holistic approach to the village transformation, to making it a modern society, as your topic suggests. Now, for livelihood and economy, Garib Kalyan Rozgar Abhiyan, employment generation through this scheme. Then Saras Ajivika, supporting rural enterprises, and for this government provides skill training. And then the very well talked of scheme of the government is about PM Kisan Samman, where there is a direct transfer of money to farmers every quarter, 3,000 rupees every quarter to all listed farmers. And crores of farmers in this country are getting benefited by this scheme. I think this is one of the unique schemes that government has initiated. Then there are some common schemes which apply to all, for instance, Jan Dhan Yojana, opening account in the bank without any balance initially, and then also providing assistance to the account holders by the government. Then Atal Pension Yojana and other social welfare security schemes which government has initiated, they are available to the rural population as well. Now, I would like to discuss something. What should we learn wisdom? Cite a quote from Kautilya. He says, Sukhasya moolam dharma, dharmasya moolam rajya, rajyasya moolam indriya jaya. Sukhasya moolam dharma, dharmasya moolam artha, arthasya moolam rajya, rajyasya moolam indriya jaya. The root of happiness lies into dharma. But dharma can't be practiced without arth, the wealth. Creation of wealth is primarily the responsibility of the state. And this responsibility, the state performs well only when the officers and people who are working in the government, they do their job honestly and efficiently. They have control over their senses. Now, this is very important. Administrative efficiency depends upon the people involved in administration. How honest and how efficient they are, that will determine how the benefits percolate to the people at large. Now, let us see how the villages were managed in ancient India. What are the basic philosophy behind this? The first thing that we note is there was a very planned land use in ancient India. Designated zones for farming, industries, residences, schools, health centers, markets, warehousing, water systems, forests, and infrastructure. Construction of buildings following Vastu Shastra principles. So land used for agriculture and for other activities were given in a very planned manner. And there was a lot of control measure also that whatever land is allotted to the people must be used only for that purpose. And if a farmer is allotted land for farming, and if he doesn't farm, he is liable to be, the farm is liable to be taken out from him, and he may be punished. So government was very strict in that respect, that land use must be proper. Government provided irrigation through canals and reservoirs, quality seed distribution, and incentives for farmers who developed their own facilities. Now, this is a very important point to note that farmers who develop their own facilities, for instance, if they dig canals or if they dig wells or if they provide other infrastructure from their funds, they were assisted by the government at that time. Then there was accountability framework for all this. Lifetime land allotment without inheritance prevented fragmentation. The important thing we have to note is that land was allotted only for the lifetime of a farmer. It was not the property of his whole family. And the family members can't ask for the fragmentation of the farming during that period. So land was protected from being cut into. Leaving land uncultivated was punishable. Ensuring productive use of the resources was a necessity. So land could be used only for those purposes. So the areas which are designated for schools or for parks or for water systems, for canals, for infrastructure, these all have to be protected. They can't be enforced by the people. Then there was a structure for each Janpad. Each Janpad comprised approximately 500 villages with natural boundaries. village administration combined experienced elders with state officials. The foundation of today's Panchayati Raj, in fact, is found into Kautilya's Arsas. The entire system was well planned, organized, and people involved were well trained and motivated, and incentives were given to farmers so that then social welfare was also priority of the state at that time, of the government. State responsibility for elderly, widows, women and children. But children legally obligated to care for parents. That is, the earning children couldn't escape responsibility of looking after their parents. If they do so, it was a punishable offense. Now, what are the basic issues involved? We come to that now. Let me start from the low productivity in the fields. The major issue which Indian agriculture has been facing for long is that productivity per acre is low. The wheat, rice, and other agricultural products which we grow in our fields, the productivity is much lower compared to the advanced countries. And the reason is not far off from to be found out. Land is fragmented, very small pieces of land is owned by each family. More than two-thirds of the land which is used in agriculture is less than 2 acres per family. And that creates problems because you can't use modern machines and implements and tools in farming. Farmers' income is low. Most farmers are still poor. Government provides assistance, no doubt, but it doesn't match to the requirement of the farmers as yet. So it's a big problem. And then provision for quality seeds, irrigation facilities, all these are being provided by the state, no doubt. But the uh, speed at which the work has to go, for instance, there are still villages which starve of water, which still depend only on rainwater. They don't have irrigation facilities. Then the problem of fertilizers. Now, there have been a lot of pilferage in the system in distribution of the fertilizers, which you all know. And for that, government provided neem coating and things of that nature. But these are the issues which are there in productivity. And unless we are able to improve farm productivity, the farmer's income will not increase because land is limited. That land area can't be increased. How productivity can be increased, that has to be taken very seriously. Quality feeds, seeds, fertilizers, irrigation facilities, marketing of field products, management of mandis, warehousing of the food grains and others. All these things require greater attention than what they are getting now. Those schemes are there in all these areas to supplement village economy, but still the, the quantum of benefit which should go to the rural area is still much lower, and our budget provisions for agriculture has to be improved substantially. Then there are financial constraints, heavy dependence on central and state governments. Now, panchayats have to manage a lot of things, as we have seen, the 29 subjects which have been given to them under the constitutional amendment of 1992. But they are not able to implement those properly for the lack of funds. Major source of funding still comes only from the government, from state governments and the central government. Panchayats have some leeway, for instance, the toll taxes and duties and other fees which they can raise. But there are very few sources from which panchayats get their own funding. Funding is basically of the government, and so that has to be improved. And also panchayats should be enabled to raise their own funds, and for that the government should come up with some schemes in that area. Then panchayats have very limited power. Even of spending, the power is very limited. There are a lot of bureaucratic curves and controls. And then there are three layers. And whatever money comes, it goes in all the three layers, for which the allocation is done by the Finance Commission, which state appoints and which decides how much will go at different layers, in what period of time, and so on. So there is a bureaucratic structure to run the village economy and administration, even though Panchayati Raj is there. Then there are other problems which are more functional and administrative. As I said, bureaucratic hurdles are there. And one of the very basic hurdle, or one of the very basic problem that we all have observed, has been corruption. Manrega, for instance, have been a very good scheme. But because the system of payment was such that intermediaries were involved, so a lot of monies were eaten by intermediaries. And people who really worked hard for their livelihood under the scheme didn't get full money of what have been sanctioned by the state. And that had been one reason why Manrega have been disbanded now, and you have a new scheme, that is VB Ramji, for employment in the villages. This has been a very crucial problem for village economy also. As you know, there has been disguised unemployment in rural areas, and this is not a new phenomenon, it's a continuing phenomenon for a long time. People in villages are not fully employed throughout the year. Only in the seasons where when they have to work in the field, they get full-time work. Otherwise, most of the time, they are idle and they need to have some work, some industry, some job, something. So, in order to make people involved into jobs or do something productive, Manrega was started, but it failed and new scheme had to come. Then lack of education and training among the Gram Sevaks, among the Gram Sachivs, and among other people who are on the staff to assist the Gram Panchayats, Jila Parishads, and others. And this lack of training is one of the issues which is there for a long time. These people must be on the ground, in the sense they must be with the people so that people can understand them and they can understand the problems of the people. Then there is a limited control on many subjects in the jurisdiction of panchayats. While 29 items have been given to the panchayats, on many of the items, there is a state control or direct bureaucratic panchayat not very full in that handle those. The thing that you have to see source problem is facing. Very often panchayats are criticized for proxy governance. What is this proxy? Now women, there are reserved for women. And good number of women don't have competence to manage. They're not trained. They're not even educated. and the real power vests into the husbands or the other relatives through whom they operate. So a type of proxy governance goes on in large number of villages. And that's an issue which can be solved only through education and training, and particularly women education in rural areas, adult education, and regular training for administrative jobs. Then casteism is a factor in rural areas which is there in India for long. In many villages, you find certain dominant castes. Only they are in power, only they get into panchayats, become sarpanch and others. And then the people of other castes, which are weak, they face problems. And this is a real problem in village economy. That is, it's not, a benefit doesn't percolate to all as the government wants or as the schemes provide for. Then appointment, training, and supervision of Sachivas, Gram Sevaks, and the staff. Now, this is an area which is still grey, I should say. People who are appointed into the villages for different operations, schemes, do they have really that type of competence? Are they able to meet the requirements of the people in rural areas? Do they mix up with them so that people consider them their own? Bureaucracy, officialdom, and things of this nature, this has to go if we want an open society and open administration, a transparent administration. Then lack of infrastructure, though a lot of infrastructure improvement has taken place, new canals have been built, multi-purpose river projects have been constructed in past, and Gram Sadaks, Gramin Sadak Yojana is an important scheme which is going on to link villages. But still, there is a lot to be done in this respect. And infrastructure in rural areas have to be improved. Their connectivity with the cities have to be improved. Infrastructure for marketing, for mandis, for instance, have to be improved. Warehousing is still lacking, and farmers, particularly the poor farmers, have to sell their products immediately the crop is ready, with the result that the price they get is low. But if the warehousing facilities are there in every village, this may go. They can store their products, and depending on the market, they can sell their products. So this type of thinking has been going on in government, no doubt, but it's the pace at which it is working is very, very low, and warehousing is a real problem for Indian agriculture. Then there is a question of damage from natural calamities. Now, floods are frequent visitors in large number of Indian villages, particularly the villages which are on the river fronts are some rivers which are very dangerous at the time when the rainy season comes. Now, some suggestions have been made, and in some of the speeches I have put this suggestion that the villages which are on the front of rivers, which are which heavily inundate villages during rainy season, government should build platforms in those villages at heights where people can safely stay during that period when the flood comes all of a sudden. They can protect their animals, they can protect their belongings and other things. Because at the time, at present, what happens is that they have to be removed from those areas to far off places, and they have to live into canopies and so on. But if each village in such area where the flooding is frequent and flooding is dangerous, if some type of platform is built at height and it should be safely constructed, probably this problem can be mitigated to some extent. And this has to be considered. Then urban versus rural disparity is there. Now, it's a fact that all governments are more conscious about the development of cities, less for the development of villages. And it is surprising that it is happening since we got independence. Most representatives in parliament and state assemblies come from rural areas, from villages. But once they are in the city, they are more the citizen of the city rather than of the village. And development of village becomes secondary than the development of cities. A lot of money is being spent on smart cities and facilities for transport and other things into cities. But villages still feel neglected, if not all, quite a few. Now, these issues confront our village and government, though it has been providing a lot of schemes, but the implementation of those schemes is far from satisfactory. And saying that in a very short time they will be able to double the income of the farmers, but that still has been only a dream. The farmers' income is still low. Our farmers are the backbone of our economy. We are the country in the world which is providing food to not only 140 crore Indians, but to a large number of people outside the world. Our farm products are being exported to a large number of countries. And government has been able to provide food grains in emergency to several countries in the world from time to time. It is all because of our farmers. That is, we grow so much of food, so much of agricultural product that we are able to provide not only food to such a heavy population in the country, but also to outside. If we are able to increase their productive India can economy. Though we are growing very fast, we are fourth biggest economy in the country. Like in next, and it's a spectacular achievement for the government of, but the concern for development of village economy is not as high as we need it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And it was.
Dr. Alok, may I say something?
Yeah, sure, sir. I will invite. I know that you are here. So
It's a pleasure to listen Professor Lallan Prasad after a long time. And on certain aspects, I agree, but certain aspects I don't agree. Because the entire government machinery is talking of rural development. The politicians are always talking of rural people, and they are providing free electricity, free water, that has basically destroyed the entire system. Therefore, while agreeing to many things of Professor Lallan Prasad, I believe that the priorities are always there for rural areas. And urban people are even not in position to exercise their opinion on certain issues. Therefore, we should stop this free electricity, free water to rural people. Rural people are honest. They are ready to pay taxes. They are ready to pay even the user charges. Why free electricity and free water is given to them? They are ready. They need minimum support price. Honestly speaking, when the farmers' agitation was going on, I got a call from PMO because I have worked certain thing for Government of India long back. When Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was there, there was a task force constituted by Government of India under Chief Minister of Haryana, Bhupender Singh Hooda, and Prakash Singh Badal, and Nitish Kumar ji was member of that. That time, the entire work I did it, and I got when I got a call from Prime Minister office for practically to come out with the solution of the farmers' agitation. I believe, I agree with you also when you were taking that practically FCI has proved to be a villain for agriculture sector. The ownership of the warehouses could be given by dismantling FCI, and probably that can sort out the problems of rural areas as well as the farmers. Therefore, I believe certain things have to be done in right perspective. I believe that FCI proved to be villain for agriculture sector, and with a stroke of pen, Government of India can practically close this FCI and give the ownership to the farmers, which can be run by them on as business, and they can share the profit they earn out of it, because they need the storage capacity. They don't have the storage capacity. Therefore, the storage capacity of FCI should be owned by the farmers, which can take care of their interest. Not only that, they don't need MSP after that. So I appreciate the concerns of our respected Professor Lallan Singh, Lallan Prasad ji, whom I heard after a long time. I appreciate your entire thing, but I have some concerns to share with you. Professor Lallan Prasad ji, let me tell you, I have come out with a concept, Gita-inspired Needonomics. Needo consumption, Needo production, Needo distribution, Needo trade. It falls in the Needonomics school of thought. I am working very seriously on that. A book has come recently. I don't have your number. I would like to send you certain things on that. But on the whole, I appreciate your contribution today. I heard it with patience, as well as I have concern which I shared with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Goel. I agree with you that whatever benefit is given to people, people must pay for it. Because pay for your benefits, that is a basic principle in economics. But it doesn't happen in reality. And you know, the political pressure and the type of society we have inherited, these things are not that easy that on a pen of stroke of pen, these can be changed overnight. But a lot of things have been happening in past, there is no doubt. And the villages today are much different than what they were. But still, a lot has to be done. And I agree with some of the suggestions you have made. There should be zero corruption and so on. But is it practicable? The way in which the governments run, both in center and state, corruption is there, a fact which we can't disband, and we have to believe that we have to live with it, and gradually we have to eradicate it. But how long it will take to eradicate it, that is still a question mark. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, please,
Yes,
Dr.
Thank you,
Kumar.
sir. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, please.
Namaskar, Lallan Prasad ji.
Namaskar.
Myself, Rajkumar, Just asking one questions. The Panchayati Raj. Hello? Hello?
Can you speak a little loud?
Okay.
Yes.
So Panchayati Raj is supposed to decentralize the whole process. Did it achieve that? Because I think the what Dr. Goel was saying is about the decentralization in a certain way. So if we have a decentralized government or decentralized governance, that would be empowering more rural economy than getting from all the funds from state or um, center.
Yes, I agree.
Dr. Rajkumar, let me add certain things to your point. In fact, I was associated with the government of Haryana as advisor public finance, particularly for the Sixth Finance Commission. And that time we were interacting with some sarpanches, panches, block samitis and all that. So practically the solution lies in creating alternative sources of financing with the panchayat instead of simply depending on the grants coming from center and state. I have been advocating that if panchayats are empowered practically to generate the resources themselves, they are capable of even giving money to the state government and to the central government. I wish to draw kind attention of the learned speaker today that three certificates are to be given to everybody, like birthday certificate given by the panchayats, and then birth certificate, death certificate, and as well as a marriage certificate. If these certificates are properly priced, then the local government can finance even the state government and central government. There is no need of imposing even other taxes. Although people criticize me for this point, that how they can be fixed pricing policy can take place in fixing up the prices of the birth certificate, death certificate, and marriage certificate. But let me tell you, people going for paying more to the unethical practices. Government should come out with a proper pricing policy for fixing up the practically the prices of birth certificate, death certificate, and marriage certificate. I think this has the solution for creating alternative sources of financing for the local government at the panchayat level. Thank you very much.
No, I think Professor Goel is right, because there are sources which can be tapped if there is a will in the government, and if they give free hands to panchayats for this. Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Next question.
Yeah. Is there anyone who want to ask? I think not. Sir, I have a few things and just want to know to you that, you know, I know that you are also the director in Kautilya Foundation. So, which idea from Kautilya Arthashastra can be, practically applied in today's rural governments? All these things which you elaborated.
You see, I think whatever Kautilya has said is all that is practicable if we really try to provide policy measures for that. For instance, land use. Say the government in past, or the kings, as Kautilya has said, they were the owners of the land. And the land was allotted to the farmers for lifetime. And it could not be fragmented, it could not be broken into parts, or it can't be given to the family members like as it has been happening in India, and the size of land has been going down. This was not there in past, and that was one reason that the farm productivity was also high, and farmers' income was also high. It was mostly a farming economy at that time. Farmers were very well to do in this country. The only question remains that whether this can be practiced today, that is, the state becomes the owner of all agricultural land and given to the people. Alternatives have been in the form of cooperatives, for instance, which have been formed sometimes, or collective forms in Russia. So those collective forms failed actually. This system didn't work in Soviet Russia. Cooperative farming has also not been very successful. In India also, they have been trying it. There have been some success stories, but not much. And basically, the inherent wish of the people, as you can say, that land belongs to me and I can give it to my children and things of that nature. So whether it is a property in cities or whether it is a property in village or whether it is a farm, the system of property rights has to be changed. But are we ready? And I think it's a very difficult proposition that the land rights can be changed like that, that state becomes the owner of all land and then distribute for different purposes. But at that time, population was not that heavy, and it was possible for the government to distribute land, and it was done in a very, very scientific basis. As I've told you, that in every village, I mean, every designated janpat, there were land allotted for different purposes, for temples, for schools, for hospitals, for pastures, pasture ground, for village industries, and for different activities. A lot of land used to be allotted separately, and those could not be misused by the people, or those can't be taken for other purposes. Even the forest areas were covered. And there was a great concern for protection of environment. And let me quote again from Kautilya, where he says that when the people take for last right of a person, the place for last right of the people used to be away from the city. And the way they have to take up to go to that place was also not from inside the city. They have to take it from home and nearest place from where they can go out, and they will go from a route where it doesn't go inside the city. There was so much of concern for these things. But today, most of these things are very difficult to practice, no doubt. But something can be thought over as to how this has to be stopped. This fragmentation of land has to be stopped, particularly for agriculture. In cities, you can have the property rights like that, but can we do something in villages for that? Mm-hmm. We may not take property right from them. The property, maybe their families and so on, but the fragmentation of land has to be avoided. And there must be some thought going on. We must think as to how it has to be done.
Yeah.
And the other thing I told you, that concern for environment that they have been that has been shown in KSAS and in our other ancient scriptures, that is practicable. We can still do. For instance, the houses were constructed based upon the Vastu Shastra. Now we can use Vastu Shastra even now, and also modern techniques, modern thinking on that. I don't say that we totally go on into Vastu Shastra, but we can combine the ancient wisdom with the modern wisdom in most of the activities is concerned to our rural administration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The second thing which I have concern, this is the technology era, and through the implementation of technology, we can improve the agriculture, storage, marketing, and strengthen the local governments, the gram panchayat also. Rather, प्रोफेसर गोयल आप सर के साथ प्रति पूरे सम्मान के साथ उन्होंने जैसा कहा कि बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट, मैरिज सर्टिफिकेट, इन सब पे टैक्स लगाने की जो बात है कि उसको टैक्स इंक्लूड किया जाए, रेदर हम ग्राम पंचायत को टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से ज्यादा इंप्रूव करें कि वो एग्रीकल्चर को या लोकल गवर्नेंस को, लोकल प्रोडक्ट को ज्यादा अच्छे से मार्केटिंग कर सकें। क्योंकि जो टैक्स वाली बात है कि विवाह पे टैक्स बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट पे टैक्स, ये सर्टिफिकेट की जो बात है, वो जो भारतीय व्यवस्था है उसमें एक विश्वास की परंपरा थी कि हमारे
I'm not
गांव।
talking of tax. Excuse me. I'm not talking of taxes. I'm talking of user charges. It is basically the certificate is to be priced properly, not tax.
या तो उसके अलावा मान लीजिए हमारा गांव समाज की जो लोकल गवर्नेंस की जो बात है, उसमें ये था कि वो विश्वास और विश्वास की परंपरा पर आधारित था और वो सरवाइव किया। और इसीलिए विवाह की संस्थाएं, अलग अलग संस्थाएं ऐसी बनी कि 4 लोग, 10 लोग, 20 लोग समाज के बड़े लोग रहते थे और उनकी सहमति से चीजें आगे बढ़ती थी। तो हम क्या टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से ग्राम पंचायत को, ग्राम पंचायत के जो लोग हैं उनको ज्यादा स्ट्रेंथिंग करें, रेदर कि उन पे इस प्रकार की जो मतलब बाहर की व्यवस्था है कि उस पर कुछ चार्ज लगावें। उसके अलावा हम टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से उनको ज्यादा बूस्ट कर सकते हैं, ज्यादा स्ट्रेंथिंग कर सकते हैं, उनको एजुकेट कर सकते हैं, उसके माध्यम से वो ज्यादा इम्प्रूव हो सकती हैं चीजें।
देखिए डॉक्टर आलोक, जहाँ तक टेक्नोलॉजी की बात है, अब जैसे बड़े बड़े जो फार्म मशीन्स हैं, they can be provided to panchayats if the government wants. And then those can be used by the small farmers also. Now in Punjab also, you find that some big farmers, they have got big machines, and then they let it out to the other farmers also and charge for that. So that type of system government can do for panchayats, gram panchayats also. Agricultural tools, implements, machinery, these things can be provided by the government, and the panchayats can arrange it in a manner that people who are willing to pay, use and willing to pay, they can be provided those services. But that basic principle which Professor Goel was also saying is that people must pay for their services. The very fact that we have made them dependent and they feel that everything is to be provided free by the state, that should not be there. No economy can be boosted unless services are paid directly by the people who avail those. But I agree with you that technology is important and we have to introduce in the village. It is being introduced. Big farmers are using it in Punjab, Haryana, and some of the other states in India. But they are still, I say, exception if we look over the large number of fields in UP, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, and other Hindi belt regions, and so on.
Sir, let me join the issue again. I am interested that my guide, Professor Premchand Jain, talked of agriculture taxation in Haryana long back when he did his PhD. And most of the politicians don't talk of taxing agriculture even today, whereas they are maintaining big farms and all that. Why not we think of taxing agriculture income? And that is possible if a remunerative price is paid to them. They are not interested in free things. We must muster up the courage to tax agriculture, provided they are paid a remunerative price there for their product.
Yes, some type of mechanism of this nature has to be one, that people are made habituated to pay. As for instance, in the cities, you have to pay for everything. You don't get practically anything free in the cities. In rural areas, somehow there are many such services which can be paid by the people, but they don't pay, or they are not willing to pay because they are habituated of getting it free. But the scale at which the amount can be realized by this mechanism will depend upon the income of the people. And that means unless we increase the farmers' income, we can't expect them to pay for many of these services. So, Professor Goel, we have to think over this also. Is it possible in the current scenario that they pay for every minor thing like this certificate for birth and death and this? How much money will be coming? After all, it won't be much money which can be generated out of not much fund which can be generated. But there can be alternate sources through which it can be done. Some services which panchayats provide and for which they are paid, that can be done. Okay. Any other question?
Yeah, I think not. So Thank you, sir. And this presentation clearly shows that the village and the villagers are the backbone of Indian economy and also the Indian society. And by linking the today's rural governance with the idea of Kautilya Arthashastra, you have explained very well that Gram Panchayat can be improve agriculture, employment, and also the local government. And your talk highlights the better planning, local decision making, and also use the traditional wisdom with the modern panchayat can truly transform the rural economics. And we all believe, we means the INETs idea believes that we must try to think from rural, the common people to government, not through government to common people. So the whole idea of Panchayati Raj was that people will try to rethink from people to government. And this was the idea for decentralization of power, decentralization of the whole system. So thank you very much for joining today. Thank you all for joining KSAS Talk. Next month we will again come with new and next esteemed speaker for this KSAS Talk. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Okay.
Thank you.
Namaste.